Can normally tell, I think, when the Prime Minister is somewhat flustered, and he did have to apologise in Parliament. So following all of this debate, he made a comment about Tourette syndrome. It was in response to interjections from the Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor about tax policy.
Some of which they are blocking over in the other chamber, including whether it's housing policy or whether it's tax policy. And the idea, I mean, this nonsense that they carry on with, the idea that we're... Have you got Tourette's or something? You just sit there, babble.
Order.
I withdraw, Mr. Speaker. I withdraw.
Yeah.
I withdraw. I withdraw and apologise.
I love the faces. Sometimes, I'm happy to be wrong on this, you just see where someone's not sure their side's made a good call, and Ali's face there sort of went, oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Disability advocates blowing up right now.
Yeah.
Angira, I don't know. I just think you can usually tell when he's a bit fired up. Anthony Albanese, I know he'd moved on to a new topic, but I sense that the whole day had sort of got him a bit hot under the collar.
I don't think that was the right move. Like you said, it didn't do him any favours. It just made him look kind of petty in a day that was already pretty heated with some pretty tough topics. It reminds me of that time we had recently, Ali Stagel make some comments that she was accused of being body shaming of members in Parliament. So I just think when politicians stoop to that level, it's just never good.
Up until then, he'd been going okay.
Yeah.
He'd actually been firing up and showing a bit of fight and look good, but it just goes to show you one phrase and you get hung on it in that place. That's why it's a tough job.
The phrase about the moral clarity message, which Peter Dutton's been talking about, the need for moral clarity, and it was reiterated, I think, by John Howard in the last 24 hours. I think Peter Dutton's performance today and last night in that speech at the Vigil has been all about that moral clarity. And I've got to say, there's been an element of John Howard to the approach, because when you asked John Howard a question, there was no wavering. He knew exactly what his worldview was and announced it, declared it, whether it be in a TV interview, a speech or whatever else. You're getting that message from Peter Dutton today. There is no doubt, there is no ambiguity about what he stands for. Now, whether you like him or loathe him, the same could be said of John Howard. Maybe he's just driving for that respect from voters. And let's see, because that could well underpin a successful election campaign, particularly if there's no rate cut. He's building his credibility, I think, in the eyes of the electorate.
To that point, which of those two leaders at the moment looks more the conviction politician? And I'm not just talking about this issue.
Well, absolutely. That's it. That goes to this whole point of moral certainty, Angira, in terms of his message. You might be completely opposed to what he's saying, but you're not in any doubt of what his view is.
I've definitely heard that John Howard comparison before, and also with Dan Andrews, because none of those people, you may not agree with what they said, but they had an opinion. And I think people appreciate that, especially in uncertain times. Well, we know what this person stands for, whether we agree or not. I think the issue at the moment with the Prime Minister is people are sort of like, well, what do you stand for? Because that messaging, it just keeps going to both sides, and there isn't that clarity that you were talking about, I think.
Yeah, and look, as the cliche goes, once you're talking about an issue that's tricky for you, you're not usually winning. He was always going to be talking about this today, but perhaps would have been better advised figuring out a way to agree with the opposition.